The knowledge base has moved from consensus that fish suffer and experience pain onto the specific needs and preferences of different species. Momentum is building, which is why the organisers wanted to bring together a range of stakeholders to discuss the opportunities available for fish welfare. And that's why you see that speakers and participants are distributed evenly on both sides of the table. So, how the day is going to work, there's going to be 5 or 10 minute presentations from 9 speakers until around 12:15. It's difficult, but I'm going to ask you to hold your questions until the end, okay? Because we're going to have a discussion section at 12:15, which will be around 40 minutes. And then I'm going to hand over to John Platt to close the event. So panelists, to keep to time, I'll let you know when you have 2 minutes left. And the aim of today is to have a varied, lively, inclusive discussion. I want to hear from all the different stakeholder groups, so when the time comes, please don't hesitate to put your hand up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to call on people. So if you want to tweet about the event, the hashtags are #ActForFish, and I also recommend using #FishWelfare. Tag your speakers and their organisations if you can as well. That will help in interaction. And the Wi-Fi code, the login is visit0606, and the password is lowercase VP71 capital F. It's dotted around the room as well. You need to see that. So can I just ask everyone to make sure that they have the correct name tags in front of them, so I don't call people by the wrong name? Excellent, thank you. So, first up to speak are John Platt and Stefan Eck, and let me introduce them. So to my right, John Platt is a British MEP with the European Conservatives and Reformists group. He's a member of the Animal Welfare Intergroup, which is the focal point for animal welfare in the EU. And he's a substitute for the Committee on Fisheries and has led several legislative files relating to fish, including an own initiative report for the optimisation of the value chain in the EU fishing sector. To my left is Stefan Eck. He's a German MEP with the confederal group of the European United Left, Nordic Green Left. He's the Vice President of the Animal Welfare Intergroup, and he's also conducted an own initiative report on the forgotten species of rabbits. So I will now hand over to them to welcome you to the event and to discuss the political processes regarding animal welfare.
Thank you very much, Barbara. When I was first asked if I would host this event, my first reaction was, well, will anyone really be interested? I think I was wrong. Thank you very, very much for turning out in such good numbers. You obviously think, like I do, that compassion should not just be for the cute and cuddle. Yes, it's easy to get support for improved welfare for cute piglets or calves or even rabbits. But as we all know, and we will learn more of today, fish are sentient animals who experience pain, fear and suffering. Like many land animals, humans subject them to cruelty in many ways. We use them, catching them from the wild, farming them, killing them for consumption, breeding them, holding them captive for our entertainment, and using them as subjects in experiments. We really need to bring fish into our circle of compassion. They deserve consideration and protection. An environmentalist I hugely admire, John Henry Deutschendorf, who is sadly no longer with us, wrote just over 30 years ago, "To live on the land, we must learn from the sea." Well, as virtually everyone here I'm sure knows, 70% of our world is covered by the oceans and the seas. So truly, to live on the land, we must learn from the sea. Thank you all for coming. I look forward to hearing from our experts and from everyone here. Thank you.
Can I hand over to you, Stefan?
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, from my perspective of an animal rights activist, I regret that only a few NGOs care about fish welfare. Fish are the eternally forgotten sentient beings, despite of the fact that they feel pain and even emotions, because when they are afraid, they swim away. This is an emotion. Therefore, I'm very pleased that John organized this event that brings the subject to light. Despite the existing EU rules on the protection of the health and welfare of fish, we still see in fish farms large numbers of fish confined in small area, which can cause serious health and welfare problems. Overcrowded fish are more prone to diseases and suffer more stress, aggression, and physical injuries such as skin damage. Overcrowding can also lead to poor water quality, so the fish have less oxygen. The poor water quality due to their excrements provokes serious skin infections. In some cases, fish are starved for days or weeks prior to transport or slaughter. Some slaughtering methods cause immense suffering, such as gassing with carbon dioxide or cutting the gills without stunning. Some fish are simply left in the air or on the ice, or maybe proceed while still alive. Please understand that from my side, as an animal rights activist and a strong supporter of animal rights, I would like to see the end of fish farming as soon as possible, not only for ethical reasons, but also because fish farming is partially responsible for the decline of biodiversity in the oceans, because small fishes are caught in huge numbers to feed farm fish. And these small fishes are in the overall food chain, so big fishes starving. Anyway, as long as aquaculture exists, there are alternatives to intensive fish farming which are more likely to ensure fish welfare. Take the case of organic fish farms, where fish benefit from more space and are slaughtered using less cruel methods. In conclusion, the welfare of farmed fish should be more considered in terms of ethics and consumers' wishes of the final product. Let's not forget that consumers are becoming aware of the quality of farmed fish due to poor breeding conditions, and they are more and more aware of the immense suffering of these animals. Of course, we like to see that the Commission comes up with legislation for fish welfare, but I have my doubts that this will happen soon. So we have to put pressure on the Commission, have a long press, and not give up.
– 17 minutes over, so I'm going to ask all speakers if you can keep it as tight as possible. Like John and Stefan, that would be great. So our next speaker is Albin Brons from the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. His work focuses on linking ecology, ethology, and physiology to understand how animals deal with difficult challenges. He works within FRESH, which is an interdisciplinary project aiming to improve fish welfare in commercial fish production systems. And today he's going to be talking about fish sentience and implementing welfare. Albin.
Okay, first I would like to, everyone hear me? Yeah, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to have present this work at this very important event. And I was asked to give a little overview of what we do in the platform, and also to give the current status of the discussion of the fish sentience from a researcher's point of view. And I chose to start with a publication that came out a couple of years ago, and you may recognize it, several of you, where Brian Key in Animal Sentience concluded in a paper that fish are incapable of feeling pain, just because they simply lack the brain structure and the neural pathways to do so. Now, as you may know or may suspect, this did not pass under the radar undetected, but it actually, a big stream of articles came out in this series. And it was in total 46 articles, 42 different authors contributing to this. And when reading through this, I took the liberty to categorize where these scientists stand, to get a view of where the scientific field actually stands on this, in this debate today. And so and this is of course my categorizing, but only 3 of the authors, including the main author himself, was actually in agreement with the conclusion drawn in this paper. There were 9 authors that were inconclusive, either just saying that we simply don't know, or there were people from other research fields that was just giving their view on the topic without actually taking a side in the debate. And then on the opposite view, there were 30 researchers, which all were in disagreement with conclusions made in this paper. And I think it gives a pretty good overview of how unbalanced this discussion actually is, and for common people, that's often not how it's perceived. This view is nothing new. You probably all know this was also the conclusions from the EFSA's scientific opinion that came 2009, where they said that there are fish species that have the capacity to experience both pain and fear. There is some evidence for neurocomponents of sentience in some species of fish. And when reading through the report from last year, it's also obvious how the authors took a stand at this point. On several occasions they talked about pain and fear. So most of us agree that we need the fish, we need to consider fish in that sense. And so our work is how to actually improve the welfare of fish during time of slaughter and in the life in aquaculture. And one key here is what's listed on this page 113, is actually in the process of stunning and slaughtering, we need to determine when a fish is unconscious or not. And this is not that easily done. And we put large part of the last year trying to improve the method to do this. And our wish list we wanted it to be a non-invasive method, not the normal one where you implant electrodes into the brain of the fish, as we can't really tell what the activity would look like before we did it. And we ended up with what you see in the picture is a suction cup with external electrodes. So it's the fish can swim along fairly restrained. And we also were interested in doing something that everyone would understand. So we chose to look at VERS, which is the visually evoked responses. So because it gives a much clearer view of what's going on. And this figure pretty much took us a year to develop in the lab. And I think it nicely shows the method that we can see how the fish goes from fully awake and then gradually going into unconsciousness. And so what we're doing now is trying to verify the effectiveness of different stunning techniques. And working in Sweden, now we're focusing on the methods primarily used in Sweden. But if anyone here works with the development of other techniques, we're very interested in collaboration to actually find applications for this method. We're also interested in looking at the temperature effects, because some of these effects of stunning techniques are very temperature dependent, how effective they are. Also, the level of stress of the animal before you apply the stunning. And this leads to the second area where we put a lot of efforts of work into, and it's actually how to determine stress and different levels of stress for fish in aquaculture. And our approach to this is, anyone that's been out at the big farms, you will know that this is not an easy task. How these animals perceive their environment is difficult. And our approach to understanding this is by using different kind of loggers. There's all these biosensors that's under development and becoming very, very small. And so what we do, we have been trying to instrument fish with sensory loggers. This case is a heart rate logger. Using them as focal animals, releasing them back into the school of fish, thousands of other fish, and then following them. And this way we can listen into how the fish actually perceive their environment and things that are happening there. We've used it so far to grade how different stressors affect the fish. We're also starting to use it actually comparing different rearing systems, because there are a lot of good options coming up that we need to to verify that they're actually better for the fish. And also, we used it to actually find stressors that we didn't know existed or that we didn't think was a big problem. And I have one example of this. So this is a study we did on whitefish a year ago, where we followed the heart rate of 20 whitefish within a school of 5,000 animals in a sea cage in Åland, outside Sweden. And so what you see is a group of fish that is very unstressed, low heart rate for several days, and then apparently something happens. Suddenly something happens, and the group did not recover from this. There was nothing that we did, and we started looking up. We called the fish farmers, and I of course had the date and times. I said, so what happened? 7 p.m. on Sunday. And farmer started looking through his journals and diaries, and to find out that at this exact time, there was another cage of rainbow trout moved into the vicinity of the cage with the whitefish. So the whitefish responded much stronger than we ever thought they would by the presence of rainbow trout. And now, of course, we're looking into how big